STITCHYTUBE, settle down and watch STITCHYTUBE. Hey guys, I'm trying to stay out of the way of Zero because I know you like to see a sleeping cat lie. I'm back. I'm back again. STITCHYTUBE number 55, lucky number 55, multiple of 11. It is January, I have no idea, the 24th already. Hard to believe. The year has just like flown by already. It's been busy around here, and we're having a great week so far. It's Friday, and I had to have the heater fixed yesterday because it's been so cold, and turned out the guy just needed to push a button. So that was an easy fix. It is good to be here. It's good to be anywhere, really. And I've had a busy couple weeks. Like I said, Christmas happened, and it was here, and it went, and Harrison came home, and that was great. So it was nice to spend a week with him. And then about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, I went to South Carolina to spend time with my folks. My mom had an opportunity to go on a trip. I'm going to turn this off. With some girlfriends, and I think I've mentioned before that my dad has Alzheimer's, and he's about in the middle stages, and so I went and spent some time with him while she went on her trip. She had a good time, and it was nice to spend time with my dad. He's a great fellow. Okay, you know what? I forgot to draw for the winner of the giveaway. I'm going to put the winner of the giveaway here. And then I also am going to have to look up what you won. It's a mystery. It's a mystery to you. It's a mystery to me. Here's the winner's name. And if you will contact me at my email address below, I will send you something. And I will have to look up what it was last time. It's been such a long time. And I also have to give away something for next time. And it's January. And so, you know, I think we're past the point where people make New Year's resolutions, sort of. And probably some of you have already given up on your resolution. I have not. My New Year's resolution is focus. So last year my resolution was divide and conquer, which was just me trying to be better about asking people for help when I needed it. I have 2 employees. I have a masseuse. I have a counselor that I go see. I got a better doctor, and I got help for some medical issues that were kind of long-standing. And I'm just being better about just being honest when I need assistance, which I think is good. So this year is my year of focus, which I'm keeping more of like a to-do list, so I stay on task and get things done. We're actually way ahead of schedule in preparing for Nashville Needlework Market, which is the first weekend of March, the weekend of March 6th. And so I also have a number of business things that I'm working on, and some of those I'll tell you about today, but some I won't. Anyway, it's just to stay focused on a goal. And I think a lot of times it's my way to just juggle a lot of balls at the same time, which is okay. I enjoy doing that, but I need to have dedicated time. Like it's like, okay, today is going to be this day, and I'm not going to even worry about anything else. And so just staying focused and getting things done more efficiently, that's kind of my goal for this year. So the question is, what is your New Year's resolution if you had one? If you didn't have a resolution, it's fair to say I don't make resolutions, or I didn't make one this year, or whatever. So the topic is New Year's resolutions, and the award, the prize this time is a $25 gift card to my business. You can buy something that you would like to buy. And I will draw the winner next time. Now, I didn't do a list of 10 for this video because I wanted to do kind of like a year in review of things that I finished last year, and then I did a bunch of finishing last weekend. Jen, my friend Jen Reagan from Jen's Stitching Niche, went on a retreat last weekend, and it was a finishing retreat. And she took along needlework, things that she had finished the stitching but just needed to make into ornaments or whatever. And I didn't get to go because I had just come back from that trip. But I did spend Saturday night and a good chunk of Sunday doing finishing of my own. So I'll share a bunch of those, but I'm also going to share things that I finished last year. I'm not sure if this is a comprehensive list. I feel like I'm missing some things. I think I'll start with a picture of my sister, though. So here's my sister with something that I finished for her for Christmas. It is by just another button company. I'm not selling this one anymore right now. If you guys are interested, I can get it back in. What is it called? maybe I'll put the answer here. But she was thrilled to get that, and I hated to see it go because it was really cute. But I did finish that last year. I finished the stitching, and I actually had a frame here that worked for it. I had purchased a frame from my local frame shop, and they cut it the wrong size. And they don't always do this, but that time they were like, do you just want this frame? And I was like, yeah, I do. So it was cool because the frame didn't end up costing me any money. But turned out really cute, and it was a big hit at Christmas. So these are going to just be in no particular order because you guys don't care about order, right? You don't. So one of the things I finished last year was my Luisa Horsey reproduction sampler. I don't know if you remember this one. I think it's really pretty. It's kind of a sad tale because it's the children of the Horsey family, and then the verse is about the death of an infant. So it's one of the children didn't make it past infancy, and so it's kind of, that's the theme of the sampler. I have the original sampler, and the charts are available as a download, or you can purchase the charts too. This one was many a late night getting it done because there's a ton of stitching in it, especially, you know, the words are all over one. And so it took a long time. My favorite part is this here. I think that's very, very pretty. I think that's very pretty. So that's one thing I finished last year, which is a good thing. Kind of just mix these up a little bit. We're going to mix it. These I did, I think in the fall or late summer. I got on a Maggie Byrne kick, and I mean, I still like her stuff. I'd like to do more this year. And I made a couple of little applique pieces so this one has a velvet backing and an old button for my button jar, and little pansies. Am I going to be kind of skippy again? Let's see if I can quit out of some things that don't need to be opened. Okay. And then I made this one, which is from one of her books too, and it's a really cool piece of wool that I bought at some shop a long time ago. It almost looks like an old coat. And again, I put a big old button on the back. I don't know why I like to do that, just for visual interest. And then the little flowers here are paper. Or are they paper? This one's paper. So that's paper, and then this is wool. But I've had this one on my desk off and on. It's not right now, but it had sat on my desk for months. And I think once a week I would say to Graham, I'd say, hey, Graham, guess what? And he'd be like, what? And I'd say, I really like this pillow. And I just really do. It's very folk arty. So I did do those last year. This is one I finished before Galleria, I know. So this is the Agnes Scott sampler by, Agnes Platt by Blackbird Designs. And this, I think, was a Loose Feathers. It's still available. I've got it in my shop. And I made a boo-boo. This I put in the wrong place, so this is actually supposed to continue, but I don't think there were letters above here, or maybe there were, I don't know. So I put my name down here, and then I added a jaggedy line just like on the original sampler. They didn't chart that, but I made that just kind of I've tried to make it just like the original. And so that one's very pretty. I love the border, and I love that it doesn't go all the way around. Lots of eyelets too, and I love eyelets. Jen and I undertook this little project. I've only finished half of them. I do intend on finishing the other two projects, but it was from a magazine where they had these applique projects that you could do, and so we bought the kits that went with them. So one of them is my sewing, this my sewing box with applique on the sides. It goes all the way around, and the box is completely finished on the inside too, like with fabric and everything. It's lined, and it was a super fun project. It took like a Saturday to make it. I got a blue ribbon in the Mississippi State Fair. In your face. It's pretty cool. And then the first part of that series, and I finished this part too, was this. Do I have all the accoutrement? So it's a needle roll, which is really, really cute. And it's got, these are little needle minders with little pockets you can put them in. And then it does have this measuring tape. So it's got this, and then there are these little applique ornaments kind of on the ends. And so that just stays in there, and that's kind of cool too. So that took a little longer than a day. It was most of a Saturday and then a little bit of the next morning, I think, to finish that up. I bought them as kits. Has these cute little, these are for hanging threads from too. Have I used them yet? No. Do I admire them? Yes, I do look at them. Okay, this one also I finished before Galleria. This is wrapping paper I got at Hobby Lobby. Makes a good backing. Stacy Nash's Merry Christmas at Hollyberry Farm. If you follow my Stitchy Tube, you will know that the flowers are half pink and half red because I spilled water on the sampler after icing my foot. And I had to wash it to correct the bleeding. And instead of ripping all that out, I left it because wabi-sabi, right? So this was a fun one to do. I did it on 36 count linen. I kind of wish I had done 40, but I do really, really like it. And I stitched it in silks just that I had. I don't have a conversion or anything. I just kind of picked from stash. So that one's very lovely too. Some of these I still have to put hangers on. I haven't hung them up yet. This one is for my sister Laura. So I didn't actually do the stitching on this one. She did. And last time I was there about a year ago, she went and got her stitching stuff. And she had a few things that were like finished or almost finished. And I grabbed them and so I'm finished this for her birthday, which is in April. I put the button on. This is an old Blackbird Designs loose feathers chart called Spring Fling. I do not have it. You cannot get it. If you look on eBay, you might find it. It's a really sweet little chart. I actually did stitch it too. It's right here, in fact. And I framed mine. So there's what mine looks like, and here's what hers looks like. Pretty much the same, right? I think we used the same fabric. So she stitched this in 2006. I stitched mine in 2005. Sister samplers, right? So they're pretty much the same. I like this little button. I should order these in. Homespun Elegance had these brass buttons made that are replicas of actual old brass buttons. Or actual old buttons. And so I just put some fabric on the back that's also green, and I'm going to send that to her. It is stuffed with sawdust, of course. But of course. Now I'm remembering that I had one of my finishes here. I did a photo shoot this week because I have bought the ad space on the back of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher for the whole year. So if you get that magazine, you're going to see an ad for me on the back all year. And so this was in my photo shoot. This is a Stacy Nash Henrietta is what it's called. And then she had a little pin keep that was, that is included too. I didn't use the called for fabric. I just picked out of my scraps. This is another one of those Homespun Elegance little brass buttons. It's a little bird. I think I will go get those in. I got to place a Hoffman order today, so maybe I'll get some of those. Now this piece, I finished stitching this one, I think, over Christmas. I did. And so this is just a piece of fabric that I just snipped off really, really fine to make this kind of scarf. She had a really pretty ribbon, and I didn't have anything like that in my stash. And so I just kind of made do. And then on her back, I put this little heart and a little key charm that I had. On the back of this, there's just some pretty, it's almost like a flannel. So that there's Henrietta. So that's that. This one, you guys getting sick of me. I feel like I'm gonna switch to a different chair. I will explain why I have this chair in here in a bit. It's not the best. All right, we're back in business. This is my speedy chair. No, I'm down as far as I can get. Okay, another blue ribbon, State Fair. Birds and Berries by Prairie Schooler. This is one that was reprinted, and I had watched it for eBay on years, and it was like a $45 chart just because it was out of print for a long time. It's very, very pretty. It's just in DMC. No, I don't have the fabric. It is by a company that doesn't make fabric anymore. I think if you were looking for something similar, something like Picture This plus Oaken would probably work well. But I kind of like that it's, you can kind of see the fabric is kind of blotchy. And so that one's very, very pretty. Very pretty. Okay. Actually, I'm just going to pull this whole stack over. So, finishing weekend. This was another finish that I had. This is just a little ornament with a little snowman on it. I did polka dot background and then a jute hanger. And what I did is there's just a little pin here, like just a, ball-headed pin. And I just tied a knot in this, pushed the pin through the knot. But before I slid it all the way down, I just snuck a little bit of Aleene's craft glue on there so it doesn't easily pull out. And so that was a little Bent Creek, I think from the ornament issue. I don't know what year, but I had stitched this, 6 or 7 years ago probably, and just got around to finishing it last weekend. But I think it turned out really cute. I've already put the Christmas stuff away for the year, so he may hang out here with me for a while. Okay, this is an old Good Housewife piece that I stitched called Dutch Berries or Dutch Strawberries. It's not available anymore. I don't have my chart anymore, but I had framed it once upon a time, and I want to say like it fell off the wall and the glass broke or something, and then I took it apart to restretch it, but I realized that it had faded quite a bit. So I actually just made it into this little pincushion this last weekend, and I actually really like it. It's stuffed with sawdust. It has one of my little rusty safety pins. You can buy those on my site, and an old button to just kind of dress it up. I put the same flannel on the back as was on that Stacy Nash thing that I just showed you. And it's very, very cute. I like it a lot. A lot I do. Now this I didn't stitch. This was one that it was a Save the Stitches. I found it at a vintage show. It was like $9 and it was in a frame, but it was on white Aida. So I actually overdyed it with coffee and stuff and to kind of grunge it up a little bit. The interesting thing is the person's initials were TA, which was my initials up until 1990. But I think he turned out cute. I was going to put trim on the edges, but I kind of just liked him the way he was. And that's a Prairie School or Santa. I'm not sure which year. Any of those that are still available, I do sell. So this one isn't fully finished. I kind of got to a point and I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. This is an ink circles design. She has a number of these where it's like lots of little tools and things. And that's as far as I've got with it. I don't remember. I think it was Stacy Nash's when I was finishing that chicken one with the pin keep. She actually has you put batting, polyester batting between your layers before you sew it together. And I kind of like that. It like makes it feel kind of springy and not lumpy. So, I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. I kind of had thought about getting just a little easel, like at Hobby Lobby, just a little black easel. I don't know if I'm going to embellish the edge or not. I kind of feel like I won't, but I don't know for sure. So that's kind of finished. We're calling that a kind of finish. Okay, this next one, you may need to hold on to your pants. Hold on to your pants. Are you holding on to your pants? I'm pretty proud of this one. What? So, this is a punch needle. Remember, last year I kept saying, I need to punch needle more. I punch needled, I finished it, and then I fully finished it. So this is a Brenda Gervais punch needle piece called Wool Farm. I don't sell the patterns. I don't think she sells these to stores anymore, but you can get them on her website. And it doesn't come with the threads, but it does come with fabric that's printed with a design, and then you punch needle it. And I believe I also got the wood piece from her, but it came not finished. It just was a blank wood piece. And so it was one of those where I actually finished the punching a couple weeks back. So I finished it pretty quickly. I painted it with, I didn't have the paint that she used because I think she tells you. But I picked kind of like it's like a mustardy, goldy kind of green color. And then I kind of sponged over it lightly with kind of a dry brush technique to make the black grunginess. And then I used the Minwax, like I rubbed Minwax polish with color in it on it and let it dry overnight and then polished it. So it is kind of shiny. It has a cool feel to it and a cool sheen. And then this is some rusty wire that I had. And it's a new craft supply, but it looks like something that's old. And I just wrapped it around and then cut it. And then the punch needle, I kind of cut the shape that it needed to be out of just chipboard sheets. I use them when I pack my charts, but you could use like old cracker boxes or old cereal boxes. I did a few layers and then a layer of batting. And then I actually just double stick taped it around the back and then glued the heck out of it with Aleene's onto the board. And then I just set a super heavy book on top of it for a while. And then that was it. It was done. This is one of my favorite finishes from last year. So pretty. I have another one of hers now that I want to start. But I really, really, really like this. I did not use the called for colors. I kind of pulled threads from my stash. Just FYI. The one I want to start next, I actually did splurge and just go ahead and get the called for threads. Okay, another finish from last weekend and a stitching finish from this year is this one by Brenda Gervais. Is it called October 31st? I don't know. I have this one on my site. It was really fun to stitch. I have my frame shop cut me frames super tight. I like it when they're super tight like that because it just looks like it's not floating in space. The frame I had to wait a while for. They get these frames in, and I'm not sure what the story is. I don't think they get them from their regular frame company, but they have like just knots and, and you never really know what color it's going to come in. So sometimes it's more gray, sometimes it's more brown, and I was just willing to kind of be brave and just not know totally what it was going to look like. It turned out very, very, very cute, and I love it. And so that one looks great. Let's see. Another finish that I finished. So this was a Christmas finish. I borrowed a chart from someone who's very nice. My very nice person that I borrowed this from. I've already sent it back to her. And don't badger me because I don't know that she wants to loan it out again. But it's an old Birds of a Feather, Blackbird Designs piece called And to All a Good Night. This was a Loose Feathers club chart, and I think it was one of the first 10. Like it might have been number 9 or something. And it was one I had thought about. I used to sell it in my shop. I never got one for myself. And so I stitched this over Christmas while watching Murder Mysteries, I think. And it's really cute. It's kind of a little Quaker style house with a pineapple at the top. And I really like the frame. I got that at Neblets. It's maybe not, I think it's frame tight enough. I think it looks good. It's not very wide. You can see it like, here's my hand. It's not a very wide piece. And it's really, really cute. And I like it. Are you getting sick of my finishes yet? Because here comes the Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom. The Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom, Not Forgotten Farm. And I had started this one last year and I finished it over Christmas. I didn't have much left and I really, really like it. It's really cute. And it's just in, I think it was just charted for DMC, but I think there were a couple of colors like his pants that I substituted some of my Victorian Motto threads that I get in. I used some of those for this chart. So I think that turned out really cute too. I finished that my finishing weekend. Time for lip balm. It's just dry and cold. You know what I'm saying? It's dry and cold. Okay. I finished a lot of things last year. I finished this. You guys haven't seen this all done. This is Country Cottage Needleworks, and it's I think it's called the Forest Friends series. I do have this on my site in the Christmas section. I did 8 of the 9. You can do a 9 patch, and the center square says like Forest Friends or whatever. And I just really liked kind of the arrangement of the 4 houses and the 4 little scenes. I stitched this on an R&R Reproductions 40 count. Was it Sea Fog? And it's kind of like a minty, sagey, pale green. And again, this is a barnwood frame that I got at Neblets. And I think it turned out really, really cute. It was just mainly DMC, and then there were a couple of specialty threads. There was like 1 specialty thread in each piece. I think she puts buttons on hers, that she has a Jabco button that you get for each one, but I liked it without. And I think it's really cute. And it's not necessarily just Christmas, because it doesn't have, it has a snowman and it's winter, but it's not overly Christmas. And we never have snow down here, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. So I also designed, and I'm going to put a picture here for Lindy, and I stitched this one, but I've already sent her the model. a piece for her Circle of Friends club that she does. I think this year's, I might have been the last one for this cycle, but she does this club every year with hundreds of people, and you get kits and like little gifties and things. And so we sent her all of her charts earlier this week, and she's kitting those up and sending those out. And it's very, very cute. And so if you want to sign up for a future club, just kind of pay attention to the Silver Needles website. And I'm sure she'll do it again. I think she does it every year. And I think it's like 6 designers. So it's like every other month you get something. And so that was a finish and a full finish, but you guys never saw any of it. So if you're in that club, you're in luck. In a year, I will get to release that just as a general chart. So if you didn't, I don't think you can join the club at this point. So if you didn't get it, you can get it in the future. This is Harriet Brown from Stacy Nash. I stitched it on a piece of my fabric that I dyed, and I love it. It's all in red. I think Schoolhouse Red by Gloriana. And I like marking samplers. And I don't know what it was about this one. You know, sometimes you just don't know. I can't define what it was about this one. It's not difficult. It's a lot of repetition, but I just really, really like it. She shows her also finished as a pillow, and this chart is still available. It wasn't a kit. So you can make it as a pillow, and I think she shows it like with the top half made into a pillow, and then as the whole sampler. I got to see the original sampler at market last year. It was really cool. Okay, this was a piece I finished, and this is not, you guys have seen this one, so I'm not spoiling a surprise, but this was the Maria Finney sampler that I stitched for the Country Sampler in Wisconsin. They had a club with 4 of us. I was the first one. So this chart, Maria Finney, will be released in March at Nashville. A lot of people have been asking like when this was going to be available. So you just got to wait another month and a week or 2. And this will be available. It will be available as a download on my site, and it will be available as an actual chart. It is charted on 36 count straw by Weeks Dye Works, and it calls for Weeks Dye Works thread. I have a silk conversion that I've done that you'll be able to do that. And it's really pretty. It's very pretty. I love the colors. So that's a market release, but I did stitch this one this year, and that came out about a year ago. And it was fun to do. I am going to be part of the club coming up, and that's all I can say. I mean, that's not all I can say. That's some of what I can say. This was a recent finish. I think I did show this one fairly recently, a Shepherd's Bush Halloween kit. And recently finished stitching it. I don't carry these. You can get this from Shepherd's Bush. I think they're at shepherdsbush.net. And it had some Swedish needle weaving here, which is always fun, but I always tend to botch up a little bit. Okay, last finish, and this was a big one. And like I said, I'm not sure if I caught them all. I kind of tried to walk around the house and see. I may have given, I don't know. I have no idea. The Village at Hawk Run Hollow. And this really was also one of my favorite things I did this year. Really, really fun piece to stitch. Really fun. And so I'm kind of looking at the next one. I think I might do the houses next. But it was this mill that got me. I don't know what I like about that mill. I just really do. But actually, I think the square might be my favorite square. So I would really like to stitch some Kathy Barrett pieces this year. I really would like to. And so I started one this week, and it came out 2 years ago, I think, at market. It's called Garden Vegetables, and I don't normally like things that are kind of repetitive, you know, where it's like the same on each side but it's flipped, but I like this one. I do like this one. I love stitching words, and so I'm not super far on it yet. I am stitching it in the silks. That's how far I am. And I'm stitching it on a piece of something from the Victorian Motto Fabric Club. I'm part of the Prim Fabric Club, and it's really just pretty perfect for what she chose. So that one is still available. It's just one I've wanted to start for a while. I actually did kind of go through my stash and pick out some things that would be fun to start this year. I got my list of whips down considerably this year. I want to say I maybe have 25 right now or so. Which is pretty good, I think. And so some of them are near completion. I know I will finish this year, but I'm going to give myself the opportunity to stitch some things that I've wanted to stitch. You know, sometimes you put things off because it's like, well, I really should finish what I have. And it is fun to start something new and see it progress. So that was my year of stitching. It's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, let's talk about what I'm all into. What am I into? I'm into crumb buns. So I went to see my dad. Here's what mine looked like when I finished. My dad grew up in New Jersey, and I was actually born in New Jersey and lived there the first couple of years of my life. And when my grandma Jean would come from New Jersey to North Dakota, she only visited a couple of times in my childhood because, you know, plane tickets, people just didn't fly as much as they do now. And she would always bring 2 big bags of bagels, which you could not buy bagels in North Dakota in the 70s. You just couldn't. And she would bring poppy seed, onion, egg. I'm trying to remember what the other flavors were. Pumpernickel rye, so the poppy seed and the pumpernickel rye were my favorite. I love, and I still do. And then she would bring my dad crumb buns, which is something that they used to get every Sunday after church. They would go to this bakery, and you would draw a number, and sometimes there were like 40 people ahead of you, and they would wait and buy these crumb buns. I asked if they remembered like how much they were, and they did not. So my dad and I got to talking about them while I was visiting, and I said, you know, I never tasted one. And they were like, oh, yes, you did. And it's like, okay, but I was 2, so I don't remember what they taste like. And maybe let's see if I can find a recipe. So I went online, and I discovered that New Jersey crumb buns are a very specific it's kind of like a coffee cake, sort of. And Lynn Rosetto Casper from The Splendid Table on NPR had done a story about it a few years back. And they had a picture, and we were like, that looks exactly like what they were. It's like half crumbs, you know, like half kind of crumbly topping and half cake. And the cake on the bottom is a yeast, so it's a bread. And then there's 2 sticks of butter in the crumble. And it's like regular flour in the base and yeast and, you know, things like a little bit of butter and that kind of thing. And you spread it out in the pan and you let it rise. And then you make this crumble, and it's a ton of crumble. It's kind of a lot of crumble. And even the recipe was like, this is going to feel like too much crumble, but keep crumbling. And so you make the crumble and then you bake it. It was pretty good. I might make it this weekend. It was pretty good. It's pretty good. And so my mom and dad ate it, and they said, this is pretty much right on the money, what it tasted like. I think they said that they felt like it was thinner than what I made, but my mom didn't have the right size pan, so I had to use a slightly smaller pan, which meant it was puffier than what they remembered. But otherwise, they said it was just right on the money. I will put a link to that recipe below. I'm going to make a note here. Link to crumb bun recipe. And then you can try making it too. None of the ingredients are fancy, and I always appreciate a recipe that uses things that you can go and get at the grocery store. So if you want a little taste of history, New Jersey history, give it a try. I'm all into our possum. We have a possum in the backyard, and I may have mentioned him before. We kind of saw him like around Christmas, and this week I went in the backyard for something, and it was night, and I went out, and the possum was sitting on our railing eating peanuts because we leave peanuts out for the birds. And I was like, oh, little fella, hey. And he's not afraid, but he doesn't leave, but he's like, I don't want to leave, but you're making me nervous. So I went in, and Steve went out and sat with him for a bit, and he said he could hear him crunching on the peanuts. But I know a lot of people think possums are gross and ugly. There's just something about possums to me. It's their little beady eyes. They're kind of fuzzy. They kind of are like a big rat, but I don't think of them that way. I just think of them as one of God's creatures. He's beautiful in his own way. I also have a little cat friend that's been coming to the steps, and I named her Lola. She's gray and white. And so she comes by a couple times a week, and we'll look in the window when I go out and pet her. I think she belongs to somebody. She's very clean and well fed. And I think she just is somebody's cat that comes in and out. I'm all into World of Warcraft. My husband and I started playing. So I'm not a big fan of video games. Like, I'm not a huge fan of video games. I grew up in the 80s, 70s and 80s. So I remember Pong. I thought Pong was the bomb. I had one of my birthday parties at Bump and Tilt, which was an arcade with like pinball and like Pac-Man and Pole Position and a lot of those old games, Centipede and Asteroids. And then kind of by the time I was a teenager, I was so busy with my activities, and my family had gotten a Nintendo, but I was just really too busy to play. And my kids have always liked games, and my husband is a big gamer. And probably 10 years ago, I really got into World of Warcraft. It is a game that you play online, and other people play too. And basically, it's kind of like living in kind of like fantasy. You know, it's like wizards and mages, and there are dragons, and you know, all kinds of that kind of stuff. And it's not scary. It's kind of a cute game, and you collect things along the way. So you can collect little prizes and you sell them, and then you can buy other things in the auction house. And so my husband, the classic version of this game came out again, and my husband and I are playing together a couple times a week. We'll sit down and we play in our own rooms, but we can chat on the computer while we're playing. And it feels like adventuring together. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to kill bad guys together. And he's a healer, so when my life blood starts to get low, he can cast these spells and like bring me back to health. And I accidentally created a character that is, I'll put my character right here. You can see her. Her name is Mesny, which means brave in Polish. And I wanted to create a mage, which is what I was before. And a mage kind of stands back and like shoots spells. And I accidentally created a warrior, which means I have to run in at the front and just beat things with a mace. And I was like, why does she not have spells? But it's fine. So I'm just rushing into battle. I'm all into that. I'm all into these postcards I got. So, you know, I mentioned my dad has Alzheimer's, and, you know, he still likes to get mail and get phone calls. And so I found these postcards. The Spectrum collection, 100 instant film postcards on Amazon, and you get this kind of cool box, and so every postcard is different, but they're kind of like a Polaroid picture. And my dad always did photography. Let's see if I can flip through a few. So see, cat, flowers, telephone. So they're just kind of cool. And so I bought a roll of 100 postcard stamps, and I'm just going to send him a note a couple times a week, so he gets some happy mail in the mail. But I thought it was really cute packaging. I think it was $10 for 100, which is 10 cents a piece, which is really cheap. I got them on Amazon. I think the shipping was also free, so I'd really recommend this. I'll see if I can let me see if I can, if I can link to this, I'll link below to the postcards. They came really quickly, and it really is a nice little set of postcards. What am I all into? These are kind of good. I found them at Corner Market. I used to eat these back in the 80s, early 80s, and they just bring back memories. They are different from a Cheeto. They taste butterier and crispier. And the nice thing is, even if you sit down and eat the whole thing, which I don't do, but if you did, it's not that much. I don't eat the whole thing. It's $2. It's a nice treat. Okay, and that's what I'm all into. Orange tongue this week. Oh, I missed one of my finishes. This was a finish this year, and it's a Plum Street Samplers. It's called like Seaside Shanty, Yuletide Shanty. And so it's got a whale, Christmas whale, because why not a Christmas whale? And then Santa is a Christmas pirate, because why not? Blue ribbon. What? I think I got a fourth blue ribbon. I don't know what it is. I think I missed things that I finished. Let's just pretend I finished a whole bunch more things. Okay, I want to mention Nicola Parkman from Hands Across the Sea Samplers has a fundraiser she's doing right now. And it's to benefit the Australian Rural Fire Service. And it's in Katoomba and Wentworth Falls. And I'm sure you've all heard about the terrible bushfires in Australia. They found a sampler from Australia. They charted it, and they're selling downloads of it for it's either $10 or 10 pounds. And I'll put a link to that below. And then the money, except for the, PayPal fee, goes completely to the fire services because it's a volunteer service, and it's to help them with like better equipment and supplies and things like that. I think so far they've already raised $28,000, which is awesome. So if you're interested in just getting, and it's only for 3 months, they're only going to do this fundraiser for 3 months, and I think a month is already gone. So you've got about 8 weeks to download this chart to help out the fire service down there. And it's a nice way to, just chip in a little and help make a difference, and also get kind of a cool sampler chart. Okay. I've been busy. I'm a busy lady. I am a busy lady, and things are going great. I had a great 2019, like best ever. And I've got a lot of irons in the fire, going into the fire, coming out of the fire. And this year will be really exciting. I've got, I think, 5 different trips planned, needlework trips, a couple of clubs. And I'm actually thinking about opening a shop. Thinking about it. We're kind of busting at the seams here. I'm in 3 rooms now, and there's just stuff everywhere. And the downside, when you work at home, it's great because you can be in your slippers, you can check email in your pajamas, and, I'm here with my cats, which is nice. The downside is that I live at the office, and I've done it before. Like at first, when I started my business, I had a home business, and I did that for a few years. Then I opened a shop, and then, I had 3 different shops over the years, and then I closed my business, and now I opened back up in my home. And I love working at home. I have 2 employees now. Graham is working for me, and then his roommate's girlfriend, Katie, is also working for me. She's doing a great job. And I really work way too many hours is what it is. And like I said, I want to focus this year. There is a little strip mall that's being built about 3 or 4 minutes from my house on the main road towards home. It's going to be a 9-slot strip, and it'll be brand spanking new. It's next to a Dollar General. I did check. I called in on it and talked to the guy about like what the leasing is and how much it'll be and when it'll be done. It'll be about a year until that building is done. So this is not anything that's happening anytime soon. It's a goal that I am working towards. Possibly it's not set in stone, so I can change my mind. It just seems like a natural extension of what kind of how business is going and what I want to do. He said 5 of the 9 spaces are already kind of spoken for, including a coffee shop and a yoga studio, which is nice because I think if it would have been like, oh yeah, there's a tattoo place and a payday loans place, and you know what I mean? There are certain shops where it's like, oh, I don't know, that maybe doesn't seem like the best, but it sounds like it'll be, fairly professional type businesses with, clientele that I'm not gonna have to worry about people breaking in and whatever. So that's just something I'm considering. I did apply for an account with Moda Fabrics because I think if I opened a shop, I would want to have part of it in town here be quilting fabric. We do have a couple of little stores that carry quilting fabric. They're not really my taste. It's a lot of, kind of not my taste, I'm going to say. I would go for more like a kind of a folk art, primitive, homespun kind of a look, and not too much kind of fancy stuff. So that's something that I've got in the works. I am also working on becoming a distributor for somebody, and I'll fill you in on that later. That's not set in stone yet either. Anyway, I've been busy. I've been networking, and it's great. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to share with you. It feels like I'm just kind of blazing through my material today. I've got 3 different things in my shop that I'm going to highlight. And one of them, because they came in since the last time I talked to you guys, is the Uffendale charts. So Nicola did actually re-release Anne and Isabella Uffendale. And I don't know, I think I sold like 250 sets or something like that. Like, it was crazy. And I also have been getting in fabric from Jude Designs, and people could pre-order that. So most of that is sent out. I'm still waiting on some 40 count. But it's Light Hazelnut by Jude Designs is very close to what was used for the model, which kind of matches DMC 422. I do have Light Hazelnut in stock, I think in 32 and 36 count, but I'm waiting for 40 count to come back in. So if you Now you have to buy a half yard, and I have it listed as a half yard cut, that you can actually buy the half yard cut for this. I still am doing a free set of 2 of Nicola's cards, greeting cards, and Anne and Isabella, if you buy both charts. So the charts, you don't have to pre-order anymore. They're just in stock. And I'm just tickled that she decided to, you know, make the brave decision to go ahead and re-release these. I think overwhelmingly the response has been super, super positive. And I think a lot of people are starting stitching these patterns, which they should, because they're beautiful. They are beautiful. Okay, so that's one thing. Item number 2. I keep closing my book. Item number 2, Issy from Primitive Hair is somebody who I really like. I carry a lot of her patterns and fabrics and things, and she has little accoutrements, little palettes and tools and things. And when I was at the Silver Needle in November, when did I go there? November? She had one of these thread palettes, and I called Issy to see if this was something I could still get. Do I have it? I do. And so I got a number of them. The one that I found at the Silver Needle looked like this. And they're made out of wood. And they're painted on both sides. And they're kind of weathered. And they feel very smooth, like chalk almost. And they're just little thread palettes, so they make a good gift. Anyway, I contacted her. I said, do you still make these? And she said, we can. We don't, but we can totally do that. So I ordered a bunch in different shapes. Like I got a seahorse and rabbit and a whole bunch of cool things. But I said, would you ever do like an exclusive for me? And she said, yeah, how about this? She sent me like a sketch like in a day. And I have them. She sent them. And so I have 4 different colors. These are exclusive to kittenstitcher.com. And they're little cat silhouettes. And we did them in 4 colors. So, and I have cats that are white. I have a couple cats that are kind of this reddish brownish color. I've got a cat who's gray. And then black. Right, Ruby? She says right. So I've got 4 different colors, and they're really cool. You can only get them from me. And if you don't buy them, I'll keep them all and use them. And then the last thing is, I'm not even really going to show it to you, but I'm just going to say that Color and Cotton Threads came in and promptly left the building. I got a shipment like a week ago of the Color and Cotton Threads, and they're beautiful. And the nice thing with them, you know what? I am going to get them. So just hang on just a second. So this is, kind of what they look like. So they're over-dyed cotton threads, and you get, it's 8 yards. You get 8 yards instead of 5, and I think they're $2.75 a skein, so they're actually a really good deal. The colors are beautiful. I'm out of half of what came in a week ago, so I placed an order just for her to repeat my shipment again, and we'll have more shortly. But I am starting to carry those now. I do also carry her fabrics, and they also blew out of here pretty quickly. I have some left in stock, but they're on order, and they will be back soon. So those are 3 things in my shop. Now, what I'm doing now is getting ready for market. It's the weekend of March 6th in Nashville, Tennessee. Franklin, actually. And it's really a fun show. It's a wholesale cash and carry, which means that shops can come and shop for their shop. And you just pay for stuff that you want and you take it home with you. You also can place orders. So it's not anything that like stitchers can go to look. My friend Sue comes every time to help me, Susie Reno, and she does a great job. It's really a comfort to have her there because I feel like I can also leave the booth to go get things. This year, I think I'm going to do a better job of getting things pre-ordered with some of the designers so that I don't miss out on things. It's hard for me to get out of the booth. I typically shop on Friday night. I don't set up Friday. I don't set up to be open Friday for early bird shopping because it just doesn't, there aren't enough stores that come that I feel like I need the extra 3 hours. So I'll shop Friday, but you know, sometimes I miss out on stuff and I just want to make sure to get everything. So I'm getting prepared for that. We almost are, except for my new things, which I'm not going to show you. I did show you Maria Finney. So that's one, and all those charts are done and packed. And then I take not older models, but you know, some of my favorite models, the Jenny Beans and some of my reproductions. So those are already all packed and boxed and ready to go. I'm taking a bunch of my mason jars and dough bowls. I am going to be wholesaling at the show Not Forgotten Farm charts. Lori has never gone before, so she's going to send me models, and I'm going to wholesale those at the show. And then there's somebody else that I'm working with that I'm not going to say just in case it doesn't happen. And I'm taking t-shirts, and we're making a bunch of magnets. I got a bunch of supplies in yesterday, and the rest are coming today. They're on the truck for delivery. So we're going to make a bunch of magnets for my magnet holders and sell those too. So we just have a ton of stuff that's going to be at the show. I just so enjoy the market, talking to the shops, and especially, really not especially any of it. I love it all. I love talking to the shops. I love talking to the designers. I love seeing what people have come up with, you know, what kind of creative things they have to offer that are new. There are, I will say that Picture This Plus isn't going this year, so I already have her 4 new fabrics on order, and they will be delivered in time for market. And so even though she's not going, I will miss her. But her fabric will be here, which is the main thing. And so I think everybody's kind of busy getting ready. So if you don't hear from a lot of designers and suppliers and things right now, it's because everybody is freaking busy, because it is a lot of work to get ready for this show. The kind of one of the differences between this show and doing a consumer show is that it's quantity, right? So when I went to Galleria, I printed some of my charts, but you don't print 400 of something, right? You print 20 of something and you sell some of it. So this show, it's not that you have a breadth of designs and products, you have a depth. So things that you have to take a lot because people will come in and buy a bunch. And you just have to make sure you don't run out of everything. It is tricky to know how much to take. I mean, everybody kind of runs out of some things. You just never know what your big thing is going to be. I also am doing a floss tube class again. It'll be pretty much the same class that I taught last year. I offered to do it again because it did fill last year. It's free, and you can sign up just by emailing me. That's fine. And it's just a 1 hour, just kind of advice on how to get into floss tube. That's about it from here. I'm kind of looking forward to the weekend. I've got some of my design stuff for the show that I need to be working on. I know one of my models is on the way back to me of another reproduction that I did, which I'm excited to see. That's going to have some finishing involved. That's going to be really cool. And I'm just excited for 2020, the year of focus. I mean, it kind of makes sense, you know, that it's the year of focus because it's 2020 and we have 2020 vision, right? I guess I didn't even think about that. But I hope that this year, like you know, hit your groove and really can work on some things that you've wanted to work on and not feel like you're pulled in a million different directions. It can be tricky sometimes. I hope you guys have a great weekend. It is good to see you. And I will be back soon. Okay? Bye-bye.